This is our first video that I'm making on our series, Overflowing with Grace. This is a really weird place to start, but I did a reel on this, just making a joke of it. But I thought, what a great subject to talk about. When we talk about overflowing with grace, one of the first things is really emphasized in the Bible as well as our tongue, and always making sure our words are overflowing with grace. And that being said, speaking of overflowing with grace and the tongue, I want to talk about one expression that I think is particularly hurtful, and it is the expression, you are judging me. You're just judging me. I can't, there's so many ways people say this, and I've heard it many times. Lots of reasons that I think people say this. And I think that you need to be aware of how this comes out. I think we all need to be aware of how this comes out when we use this expression. Especially hurtful. There are a lot of things that offend me. In the flesh, I get to where I'm like, I can't believe you said that. I can't believe they said that. And there's things that are offensive. But I think this is one thing that's actually hurtful. I don't think that it's just something that should be thrown around flippantly, because I believe it is a hurtful expression. I know that in ministry, our goal and our aim, and I'm not just talking about me and my husband, I'm talking about all ministry workers, whether they be full-time, part-time, volunteers, whatever the case may be, our intention is always to help build people, always to bring people closer to God and closer to each other, and learning how to, creating disciples for the Lord. That's our goal and our intention. That is what we've given our lives to do. So to say to someone, you're judging me, it's a pretty harsh statement. And I want to share with you why I think so. Now, if you can imagine, if your job, what you gave your whole life to, was to build houses, and you went in and you built this house for this family, you sacrificed time from those you loved, you worked just night and day to try to get this house exactly how the family wanted and needed it to be. And you gave all you had, and finally you bring this family into this home you created for them. And when they get in, they just say, look around, and they say, it's like you just tried to make this place look bad. It's like you just didn't even try, didn't put forth effort. And you have to imagine how that would make you feel if you gave all you had to try to better something, and then all of a sudden your intentions are called into question. Don't get me wrong, I understand why this happens, because a lot of times people in ministry have failed people, and they thought a lot of them, and they invested their feelings and their trust into these people, and it was taken away. And I understand why it's easy to feel that way, fearful, intimidated by some people that are over you. But I think we have to be very careful with our tongue and the effect that it has on other people. The tongue is so powerful. The Bible says our words are to be always with grace, seasoned with salt. We should have grace every time our mouth opens. It should never be filled with bitterness and strife, but we should be full of grace and truth. So when we come to this expression, judging, whether it be you're judging me, I feel judged, you can judge me if you want, however snarky you want to say it. And believe me, it's a very snarky, I've never heard this expression used in a kind, gentle way. It's always like a snarky, snippy way, like, well, like, if I did hear it used in a kind way, I might react to it differently. It might not be so hurtful. But there's a lot of reasons I think that we should try to just cut it out of our vocabulary altogether. There's no reason to have this expression in your vocabulary. And there's 3 reasons why I want to encourage you just to cut it out. Oxymoron. If you are accusing someone of judging you in a harsh way, then you are actually assuming their intentions are to judge you, which makes you judgmental. When it comes to someone judging you and their intentions, you have to make sure that you're not being defensive, because the Bible doesn't tell us not to judge. The Bible tells us to judge righteously. Sometimes we have to stop and ask ourselves, is this a pattern of behavior that I have developed? Does this person have a point? Is this something I actually may be in danger of? Because their intentions are usually in ministry to help you. I'm telling you from a ministry experience and heart Their intentions are to help. Their intentions are to build you. Their intentions are to encourage you. So if you just stop for a second and think about what they're saying, think about if there's any truth to it, you might come to the conclusion that they are indeed attempting to help you. If I see my child walking through the yard day after day after day, and she falls in that same hole every time, when we walk by that, I might be like, watch out for the hole, because she has a pattern of falling into that hole every time. She's not going to look at me and say, I can't believe you think I would fall into that hole. No, she's not. She's going to be like, oh yeah, I did that the other day. I remember it hurt. So, we need to be the same way. We need to be gracious and accepting of criticism or judgment that is true. So if there's a true judgment there that I'm making a judgment call, you're going to hurt yourself because you have before, and I want to warn you, that's important. And that's something that you need in your life. It's something valuable. I need it. I need someone to say, hey, if you do this, this happened last time, remember? And then, yep, that is the case. I need to be careful and aware. Second of all, it weakens your argument. Whenever you have a point to prove, saying you're judging me just shows that you're out of ideas. Like you're out of things to say, because that's just a go-to. It's I'm going to put up a wall because I'm done with this conversation, because even if you do have better thoughts, it just makes it look like you don't. Like you're done because you just don't know what else to say, honestly. So I think about people putting up a wall and just behind it, they're like, but anyway, that's what I imagine. So don't stick up a wall with the expression like that and just shoot something hurtful out at people. You need to be prepared. Come to an argument, come to a discussion, prepared to be productive, which is the third thing. It's not productive. It does nothing to further your acquaintance with that person, to further your relationship. I feel so strongly in ministry that everything I do should be to draw people closer to God and to draw us closer as Christians, because we are to be an encouragement to each other. We're to lift each other up. The Bible talks about carrying one another's burdens, and that's what we're called to do as Christians. Worship, serve God, encourage one another. So everything should be toward that end. Everything should be producing these things in our life. Is this saying that you're just shooting out productive? It's not. It's not going to do anything but cause an argument. Now, I have 3 ways you can deal with this situation without using that expression. The first one is to reword it. So don't say something so harsh as you're judging me. Say something like, let's pause for a second. I feel like you're assuming my intentions, and I don't want you to get it wrong. So here are my intentions. And just present to them your actual feelings and thoughts at that moment. Nothing is coming across as aggressive, because you're taking time to stop and just readjust things. The second thing is course correct. So when you are going down that road, you say, wait, I don't think this is going to produce anything. So let's talk about the actual facts. Let's get back to the basis of what we're talking about, because I don't feel like discussing, I feel like this discussion's getting heated. So we can either come back to it, or let's just talk about what we came here to talk about. Let's get our facts back online. The third thing is just don't address it. I've been in situations where I was truly being judged. I truly was. The person wanted to stir the pot. The person wanted to get things going they wanted to get me going. And that's a thing. But I knew that they might go away from this conversation. They might assume my intentions. They might tell other people my intentions. But that's where faith comes in, because faith says, I'm going to trust God with this. No matter what outcome there is, I'm going to put faith in God that all things will be brought to light and that He will be glorified in this situation. As difficult as it is and as unfair as it feels, we can trust God to deliver on that account, on every account, right? So if we're going to be overflowing with grace, let's make sure our conversations and the way that we represent our tone, our words, are loving, kind, and good, and not harsh. We never want to be harsh with our tongue. They should be always with grace, seasoned with salt. Thank you for listening. You guys have a very blessed day.